Hello, faithful, and welcome to another edition of White Throne Metal Radio's Top 10 Songs. I am your host, Keven Crothers, station manager for White Throne Metal Radio and staff writer for Heaven's Metal magazine. You'll find links to both of those items in the description below. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, White Throne Metal Radio, all things hard rock and heavy metal from a Christian point of view. Heaven's Metal magazine, still writing, it's online. Wish we could do a print publication. It's just not feasible these days to do that, unfortunately. But I'm glad you decided to tune in and check us out today. We're going to talk about Christian heavy metal pioneers, as it were, Messiah Prophet. Messiah Prophet released 2 albums back in the day. A third album was released in the 90s, which I guess you could still say is back in the day. But we're really not going to talk about that third record. And that's primarily because it's a completely different band than the first 2. I mean, there's none of the original members are in that band. Not one. Because Messiah Prophet, for the most part, their manager owns the name. Hence, he owns the rights to the material and all that. So, you know, when all of those guys, the original band, I think they called it a day, the management decided they would revive it, get new guys, and put a new band together. And so they released that album in the 90s called Colors. I've spoken with several different people, kind of more in the know. And I just remember back in the day, Messiah Prophet, because of the way management was, just a little bit different than most of the other bands where management really kowtowed to the band in a lot of respects, I guess. In this case, it wasn't quite that so much. So, neither right nor wrong, just a little bit a different business arrangement. Because, of course, there is business involved in all of this stuff. So the 2 albums that were released, the first one was from 1984 called Rock the Flock. Came out on Murata Records. I'm sorry, I only have a cassette. Actually, I thought I had vinyl, but I never bought the vinyl for this. Only have the cassette tape. Kind of wish I had gotten vinyl back in the day. I used to always do that and make tapes and everything, because there's nothing in there. You know, but it's all Murata. Murata was primarily, as I understand it, a label that did Southern Gospel a lot of times. So when they released Messiah Prophet along with Saint in early 1984, before Stryper's Yellow and Black Attack was released, just we get the chronology straight. You know, it was a big deal because it was different, very different. So Rock the Flock, the follow-up album, about 2 years later, 1986's Master of the Metal. This was released on Pure Metal Records. This was one of the inaugural releases of that label. As you can see, in typical Pure Metal fashion, unfortunately, the inlay card here is black. Which means nothing. It's just no photos, no band, no nothing. And the size of the text in that type, very small. But I do have the vinyl. Bought both back in the day. So this is a Pure Metal issue from '86. Band there. Now the band that recorded this album is different than the band that recorded Rock the Flock. Except for the vocalist, Charlie Clark. How could I not remember that? But you can see the Pure Metal logo on the center ring there. But they released 2 albums, and a lot of times people have often asked, why don't these get remastered and reissued? And it goes back to the business arrangement, frankly. You know, you could talk to people who do a lot of these reissues. That's why several bands, including White Cross and Bride, in that case it's more label issue than anything else, because EMI owns their music in that part of the catalog. So Master of the Metal, Rock the Flock, And again, this video is not designed to be some exhaustive discussion about Messiah Prophet. They definitely made an impact with their music. Rock the Flock, when it came out in '84, I can tell you, I was, 17, I think, 16, and I was starved. I'm like, what was I listening to in 1984? I mean, okay, there was Rez and Jerusalem and Barnabas and Daniel Band and First Strike. A lot of I was very grateful for that material, and then I was still listening to Judas Priest, Free Will Burning, Defenders of the Faith, 1984. So when Rock the Flock came out, albeit its production value was not very good at all, I really enjoyed the songs. The songs on here, I think, they were good. This would be one of those ones, re-record this, and I think you'd have a stellar album. There's some really good stuff on here. The follow-up, Master of the Metal, was actually produced by Bill Grabowski, and as I remember correctly, Bill Grabowski worked on the first Bon Jovi album, and hence the reason why this record sounds 1,000 times better than the debut. Also, the band itself is very different. Rock the Flock, Dean Pellman on guitars, Charlie Clark on vocals, Andy Strauss, Dave Dauber on drums, and then you also had Rob Clark on guitars for Rock the Flock. So when you get to Master of the Metal, Dean Pellman, on guitars through '86. So the question, and I'm trying to remember, I don't, frankly, who didn't play? Did everybody on the back of the back here, did they play? Because Dean Pellman, he was a member of the band from '78 through '86, but he's not here. Andy Strauss through '87. Now, I know Andy Strauss played on this album. I believe he also played on Rock the Flock. David Thunder Armstrong on drums from '85 through '88. Brian McCary on guitars from '86 through '87. And Joe Shirk on bass from '86 through '88. Now, the band I saw, because I did see Messiah Prophet one time at the Mabuhay Gardens in San Francisco, local Bay Area Christian metal band Soldier opened up for them. And I can tell you, I was really disappointed when Messiah Prophet played, because Brian McCary and Andy Strauss had quit the band. And 2 new guitar players were brought in, and I must apologize. I don't have their names here in front of me. Pardon me. Frank Colero from '87 through '96. And then you've got 2 other guitar players, Todd Berggren and Mike Ballet in '88. So I don't, because in '87 they came through, Messiah Prophet came through. They did this short tour. They played that place in San Francisco. Then they played the His Festival in Southern California. And I was so disappointed when I saw them at the Mabuhay that I didn't. When I went down to the His, I really just didn't give them the time of day. And I was told by my editor, Dave Johnson, White Throne Magazine, that I should have, because they had improved quite a bit. And they just didn't have time to rehearse and break in those 2 new guitar players to play the material, because there was a bootleg. They used to do a cover version of The Trooper by Iron Maiden back in '86. Totally different lyrics all the way through the song. So it would have been really interesting to me to be able to see this band play. And I probably just caught it at a wrong time, but anyhow. Top 10 songs, Messiah Prophet. Let's talk about them. Coming in at number 10 off of Rock the Flock, Why Must You Run? A great, solid, mid-tempo rocker. Closes out side 1. A little more of a heavier song on that record. Again, it's one of those tracks, it's like, okay, this is pretty good. It feels like it's ready to take off, to be faster, to have more more up tempo. It just never quite gets there, but it's a good mid tempo rocker. Why Must You Run comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 off of Master of the Metal, The Friend. A great song. Messiah Prophet was chugga 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 heavy metal, and The Friend epitomizes that, along with the other tracks. All these tracks kind of epitomize that a bit, but The Friend, great lyrics and nice guitar solo on there as well. Coming in at number 8 off of Rock the Flock, it is the song that opens side 2, which makes it sound like a live recording. The song's called To the Rock, which has a great hook, frankly. Another mid-tempo rocker. Good songs. It's one of those songs that you kind of just want to sing along to. It's kind of geared that way. A really cool song. To the Rock comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7, the title track from the debut album, Rock the Flock. I mean, I'm sure you can't see it real well. You could go online and find images of this album cover, but it's kind of like, oh, is that supposed to be Jesus playing the hammer guitar? And got all the little sheep or lambs down here with guitars on their backs and all the big Marshall stacks, and it's Rock the Flock. Great song. Coming in at number 6 from the Master of the Metal album, Battle Cry. Battle Cry is really a song about perseverance, a song about dealing with trouble, going through pain, hardship, and who doesn't deal with that? It's a song that's a slow build. It's not a ballad. It starts off with some acoustics and some atmospherics, and then the slow build with a great hook and builds to a really solid crescendo, as it were. Good guitar solo as well. Battle Cry comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, also off of Rock the Flock, Sing. It's the last song on the album. It is more of a worship song, but it's catchy as all get out. But what really stands out and catches your ear, you get through the song, and there's this full-on guitar solo, which I think is Andy Strauss. I'm pretty sure it's Andy Strauss, and it's a barn burner. It's not Yngwie Malmsteen, it's not Ritchie Blackmore, or anything like, but it's a solid guitar solo. It really is. And in 1984, we're going Brian Ballou and Stu Heiss, and if this is Andy Strauss, and I'm pretty sure that it is, it's a great solo. And I mean, we're talking, the song is over, and there's a screaming solo, and then you hear Charlie Clark just kind of go, "Oh wow," and laughs, and it's really cool. So you're gonna want to pull that song out and give that a spin. Sing comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 off of Master of the Metal, Fear No Evil. A fast barn burner. What is it? 30-second notes on the drums. A great hook. It's a tad long. It probably could have been shortened up perhaps a little. But it's a great song, great solo, a great hook all the way around. Fear No Evil comes in at number 4. Here we are in the top 3. And when you only have 2 albums really of material to go through, it's kind of like you go through one to the other and which album you like the best, right? So coming in at number 3, Heavy Metal Thunder. It's a great hook, a great riff. It's a great sing-along song. Most of us will think of the Saxon song by the same name. It's not quite to that tempo as far as speed, but it's a great song. I used to have a promo cassette of that from, I'm trying to remember the name of the management company, Nenow, or from Pennsylvania. And cool little thing, The Great Purge of 2000, 2001, I had to sell a whole lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure it went by at that point. But Heavy Metal Thunder comes in at number 3. So we're down to 2 songs. And coming in then at number 2, what will it be? I'm sure some of you are going, this should be number 2, this should be number 1, should be number 2, number 1. Coming in at number 2, album opener for Master of the Metal, Hit and Run. Another upbeat, fast, it's got a great hook, nice guitar solo, got that siren, it's a hit and run. And, you know, one of those things, that could have been a single, I think. Charlie's voice, it was so... It was a higher pitch, but it was pleasant. But at the same time, it had that metal quality, and I think he was singing primarily from the throat, but it sounded good. And Messiah Prophet really, I mean, it was a band. They sold a lot of records for pure metal. So Hit and Run comes in at number 2. So coming in at number 1. Master of the Metal. Title track off that second album. What else can I say? The Master of the Metal, Christ, my Lord, my King. He is the Master of the Metal. It's got a great hook. The riff is cool. A couple of little tempo time changes. I love the guitar solo. You know, it flows. It's got this just energy to it that it just seems to appear out of nowhere like a fountain, frankly, and it flows. It's like there's very melodic, but lots of dexterity in the fretboard fingerwork. So a great tune, definitely ranks at White Throne Metal Radio as our number 1 Messiah Prophet song. There you have it. Top 10 songs from Messiah Prophet Band. They did drop Band when they released the second album and just went with Messiah Prophet. What are your top 10 Messiah Prophet songs? Put them in the comments below. Let us know that you like the video. Share it. You know, 2 albums, still wanted to talk about them. And they were pioneers in Christian metal. You know, again, everybody looks at Stryper, but there were a few bands before Stryper, and Messiah Prophet was one of them. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to say your prayers, and God bless.